Hello everyone and welcome to the third episode of our December the Pies. Welcome to the third episode, the Reform Party. So the Reform Party still exists today. It's just not as famous because because that was only created for Ross Perot, but they didn't remove it. This third episode is the last normal theme. Next week's video will be Christmas themed. Well, actually, we're gonna be back in time. I don't know. And then December 31st will be New Year's Eve and that's the reason why I did Wednesday, because this year Wednesday is on a Wednesday. Okay, now we can start. Introduction. The Reform Party of the USA, generally known as the Reform Party, is a political party in the US, which was founded in 1995 by Ross Perot. He received 18.9% of the popular vote. Perot believed America would disillusioned with the state of politics as being corrupt and unable to deal with vital issues. How many slides are there? I need to check again. Oh my god, it's 33 slides. This might take a while. As an independent candidate in the 1992 presidential election, he founded the Reform Party and presented as a viable alternative to Republican Democrat. As the Reform Party candidate in 1996, Perot won 8.4% of the popular vote, and he didn't receive a single electoral vote. But no other third party candidate since, until 2024, managed to get as high as a share of the popular vote. This is the electoral map of 1996. This is the Reform Party logo. This is how you calculate the area of a circle. This big square. Cut this part off and all of those things. The party had nominated other presidential candidates over the years, including Pat Buchanan, and I forgot which one. Oh god, what am I doing? That's the wrong person. Pat Buchanan and Ralph Nader. His most significant victory came when Jesse Ventura was elected governor of Minnesota in 1998 with 36.99% of the popular vote. Although he left the party shortly into his term, Donald Trump was the member of the Reform Party during his brief 2000 presidential election. Beginning with Buchanan's poor showing in the 2000 election, no Reform Party nominee has been able to get 1% of the popular vote. It begins in 2000 because of the decline, because of infighting and scandals. The Ross Perot movement. This is the only one subheading, so I don't know why this is up put. The party grew out of Ross Perot's efforts in the 1992 election, where, running as an independent, he became the first non-major party in 1912 to be considered viable enough to win the presidency. Perot received attention for focusing on fiscal issues such as the federal defect and national debt, government reform issues such as term limits, campaign finance reform, and lobbying reform, and issues on trade. He was addressing vital problems, but they were mostly ignored by the two major parties. And then in the Gallup poll, he was leading, and then suspended on 19th, and then he resumed on October 1st. Many voters were confused as to whether Perot was actually still a candidate. He received 18.9% of the popular vote. This is not what has been reached since Theodore Roosevelt in 1912. Once the Progressive Party voted to no more. So this is a graph. And Ross Perot won this amount of share. The other one is the other parties that would argue. Foundation and rise of the party. In 1995, Republicans took control of the House, largely the strength of contractor America, which recognized the promise to deal with many of the issues Perot voters had mobilized to support in 1992. However, two of the major provisions, constitutional amendments for term limits and balanced budget, failed to secure the two congressional majorities required to be submitted to the states. Dissatisfied, the grassroots organizers that made Perot in 1992 possible began to band together to found a third party, which was intended to rival the Republican and Democrat. For legal reasons, the party ended up going to the Reform Party. They actually went to the Independent Party, but it was already taken. All 50 states seceded. all that ended with lawsuits. I think the one thing we are lawsuits, I'm not sure, in some ways over state ballot access requirements. And minor party became incorporated as state party organization in a few areas. I got Apex. I don't know what Apex is. 1996 presidential election. Nomination campaign. At first, when the 1996 election season arrived, Perot held off from entering the contest for the Reform Party presidential nomination, calling for others to try the ticket. The only person who announced such an intention was Dick Lamb, former governor of Colorado. After the Federal Election Commission indicated that only Perot and not Lamb would be able to secure the federal master file, began in 1992 campaign with independent Perot entered the race. Some were upset that Perot changed his mind because in Denver, Perot overshadowed Lamb's run for the party's nomination. This built up to the beginning of a splinter within the movement, when it was alleged certain problems in the primary process. Many Lamb's wards not being valid, primary voters receiving multiple ballots with Perot's doing. They claimed this problem stemmed from the petition process for getting the Reform Party on the ballot in all of these states, since the party claimed they used dissent names and addressed the petition side as the base of who received ballots. And then they were sent by mail to the voters. Perot was the presidential nominee, and Pat Toey was his vice presidential nominee. And it was 32,145 for Ross Perot, and for Dick Lamb it was 17,121. Pat Toey is still alive, by the way, I think. Excluded debate. Between 1992 and 1996, this is the company that started the debate, and then they changed the rules of how candidates qualify, and it was decided below when the campaign when the commission ruled that he could not participate due to. So that I actually don't know why. I don't know. Perot could have not qualified for the debate in 1992 under these rules, and was able to show that various favorites used president with likewise had been excluded from the modern debate by the same company. 80% of people wanted to support his supporting participation, but the commission refused, and Perot was reduced to make his point short by a half-hour commercials, and they only won 8% of the popular vote, which is this year. 10.5% less of what he received in 1992. As you guys can see in the 1996 debate, Ross Perot is not attending. Plateau and decline. This is actually a long category, so you might want to skip to this correct subheading right here. Yeah, this is where it goes very bad, because by the time of 1998, the party fall apart. By October 1997, facing of the feuds began to emerge with the departure of a group that believed Perot had lived in 1996 primary to defeat Lamb. And then these individuals eventually established the American Reform Party. Then Chairman Roy Doyle said a split came out about when it was discovered that the Reform Party was a top-down party instead of a bottom-up organization. Although members of the group attempted to persuade former Colorado Governor Dick Lamb, which is the same person over here, Perot's chief rival for the nomination to run for president as an independent, he declined, pointing out that he had promised before running that he would not challenge the party's decision. And then Perot himself chose the controversy on lobbying efforts to United We Stand America, which is this poster. And this is all the states Perot was on the ballot. If you're wondering why it's a lot, because all, including DC, which is over here. Here. American, what is this? Yeah. And then when it was found that Jackie Salt and the Christian Science Monitor said, as the founding meeting in Kansas City in 1997, the 4 blacks delegated to the room represented the first time in U.S. history that African American were present ever at the founding of a major national political party. And then yet to organize in a few states. And in 2004, 2008, they supported Rob Nader. The ARP is a political party. It's not a political party. It does not have ballot access to any state, and it does not run any candidates. It only supports third-party candidates. So in 2012, they endorsed Mitt Romney, the ARP, and in 2016, they endorsed Donald Trump as the right year. This is the city. I don't know where the real convention is that the funding meeting was. How's the skyline? Okay, affiliates. Okay, so it's exactly 2. And New York State, where's it right here? The Integrity Party is the ARP affiliate. The group, led by Don Johnson, uses state's fusion elected system and across endorsing a Democrat sheriff candidate, Vincent DeMarco, in Suffolk County, having a narrowly win the election. The party had also run a most of other candidates and attempted to go statewide in 2006, feeding Phoebe Legor as the candidate in the New York governor election. How about they did not qualify for the November ballot? Okay, and then in the Northern Marina Islands, which is here in Australia, was an affiliate of the ARP, was founded by former Governor Florence Temple, which is the Saturday of the Democratic Party. And then they elected a member in the 1999 general election, but was the first and only elected official. The party would lose the only elected official in the 2002 general election and would cease political activities afterwards. 1998 midterm elections. This is the point where the Reform Party goes back up. And you might be thinking, why? Well, in 1998, in the governor of Minnesota election, Jesse Ventura won 36.99% of the popular vote, and he was elected governor of Minnesota. They received a boost. So yeah, he was the first and I think only elected official on the Reform Party. Although he did lead the party shortly into his term, it was still a major accomplishment for the Reform Party. And this was the first time, and the Reform Party obtained more votes nationwide in 1998 than any other party. And they do not include Jesse Ventura. And the Reformers still get more votes than all other third parties in the United States combined, would establish the Reform Party as America's third largest party. I think the other two are the major parties. Okay, this is actually small. 2000 U.S. presidential election. I'm not going to read all of it. I'm just going to summarize. In the 2000 election, there wasn't a lot. There was a failed effort to draft Ron Paul. And then Donald Trump ran, but he dropped out. And then they chose... And then they chose Matt Buchanan, who was actually the candidate. And then in 2002, he returned to the Republicans right here. He returned to the Republican Party. They only received 0.4% of the popular vote. And then this is Trump's campaign poster. He left the Republican Party, rejoined for the Reform. So in between, he was the Reform, and I think that's for the election. Right. And the 2004 election. And then, in the by October 2003, National Convention only began to rebuilding the Reform Party. And then Ralph Nader was the candidate. I actually don't. Actually, the campaign of Ralph Nader was the best option for independent of any stripe that year. And then Buchanan's poor showing had lost ballot access for the entire party. And this is where it gets declined even worse now. And yep, the next one is decline. There is a lot in this, so remember, subheadings. Alright, you good? Activities of the party in 2005. A dispute arose for the number of national committees required under the Parliament law. And the members came from Texas, Michigan, Florida. The meeting was held in Tampa, Florida. And the board called it the last exit committee meeting, claiming the meeting was illegitimate. As a result, those states had a second convention in Arizona. Leaders of the Reform Party filed a Racketeer Influencing Corrupt Organization Act complaint, claiming the Tampa group was extremist and go to a conspiracy. And in 2006, they were nominated candidate Arizona, and they were possessed. They were given ballot access in several other states where state reform by organizations were active. The Reform Party of Kansas nominated candidates led by Iraq were very veteran Joe. And Colorado's 4th congressional district, Eric Edwards was the former assistant, ran out the Reform Party ticket. He received 11.28, which is 5 times the Democratic Party. He got back to Democrat. Now, I won't be reading all of it because this is going to end up 1 hour, so I'm just going to explain the key points, and then you guys can pause the video before I draw it, and then you guys can read it on your own. So in 2008, they nominated Ted Wiley and Frank Louis. But however, during the election, they only appeared on the ballot in Mississippi, and they only received 481 votes, which is actually very bad. I mean, other candidates could add a Keys, Frank Louis, and James Chapman. And then for some stupid reason, ABC News stated that they had endorsed Don McCain. And then do the interview. Do you believe that any legitimate national party would endorse the Republican candidate for president rather than have a candidate of their own? Because this is actually crazy. It was erroneous, however. Legal action. I'm just gonna read it because it's short. I'm not going to read it. A long-standing feud of in the party involved John Blair of the Reform Party of California and the Reform Party officers. On December 4, 2009, a New York federal judge heard McCain vs. Coon on the question of who are the legal Reform Party officers. On December 16, 2009, the judge ruled in favor of David Clinton's faction. Clinton, after over 2 years of litigation in Texas and New York, it is my profound pleasure to announce that U.S. District Court Judge Joseph Blair of the East District of New York has ruled in our favor, and has further reinforced the 2008 ruling of Charles Garth Ginsburg on the 193rd District Court in Texas. Point 10. Jan Quill said in 2010 that he hated the Reform Party because it limited the chance for them to win re-election. Because normally it's supposed to be like this. Half Democrat, half Republican. Ross Perot took around this much, which is around 18. And this one still has 50, but this one only has 32. Meaning that they have no chance of victory. Also, to make it even worse, this could be like 67, and then it will be 33, but they have to minus 18, which is only 15. And I Manhattan, I forgot what's what. Also, this is the U.S. map, but I don't know why only these states are highlighted. There are only 4, which is 5. Texas, Mississippi, Virginia, New York, and Connecticut. This is for 2010. Okay. In 2012, they nominated in Philadelphia. There were only 2 days, and they nominated Andre Barnett for New York for president and Ken Carson August as vice president. This is a photo of Andre Barnett. I don't know why this angle though. Among those who saw the president nominated for dropping out was Robbie Wells, comments Lawrence Cunliffe, and Darcy Richardson, and Buddy Romer. Grade 16. The Reform Night co-nominated the American Delta Party presidential and vice presidential candidates Rocky de la Fournette and Michael Steinberg in the 2016 presidential ticket. However, in 2016, de la Fournette managed the Democrat and the presidential and U.S. Senate primaries too. 2020. A virtual convention due to the fact it was COVID, of course. They renominated him. I don't know why. But Ben Zion. But actually, I don't know who. Oh wait, Darcy Richardson for vice president. And then 2024, which is they lost their battle axes in Florida, which is the only state they had left. Spones, Marble Square, and then they nominated Robert F. Kennedy Jr., which is the son. He's related to John F. Kennedy, and is the Vice President Nicole Shannon. However, Kennedy withdrew and endorsed Donald Trump and reduced the name for the Florida ballot on the 23rd. Okay, so we have the best results in the British areas next. For president, the best is 14.9% in Maine, 13.56% in Montana, and 12.71% in Idaho. In all these places, it was third place, and with Ross Perot. And in the U.S. Senate, 50.42% in Mississippi by Sean O'Hare, 8.37% in Kansas by George Cook, and 6.98% in Minnesota by Dean Buckley. U.S. House, 33.7% by Jack Garland, 21.9% by John Evans, and 20.99% by Barbara Washington. Governor is the only one to actually have a real victory, which was Jesse Ventura, who won 36.99% of the popular vote for governor. Other votes, 50.32% for Kentucky by Gateway Gawa, and 2.08% by New Hampshire and by Fred Van Mate. And here are the presidential tickets. They nominate a candidate in every election. However, no candidate has been able to receive a single electoral vote, and all but one to get 1% of the popular vote. So here it is. This sewing is the best, this sewing is the worst. This one only got 481. I don't know why this one's better than this one. Look at that. Oh, it's maybe because it's better. Okay. So after 1996, the closest they got to what 1% was 24.46. And the third episode's done. This is the last one that's been normal themed. Gallery. And that's it. Also, all the public counties are the one that just for 2 on. Hope you got another video. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys for next week. Peace.